Good afternoon, everybody. It is 2:59 p.m. Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. After the stream last night, got some rest, slept, went to bed really late, streamed really late, and went to bed at like 6 o'clock in the morning. That 14-hour stream was a bad idea, but it was still fun. Anyways, I had a couple different dreams, but I only remember the most recent one, unfortunately. It was about these two families and this world where gods were more prominent, like patron deities and what have you. There was this family, these two families, among many who had direct connections with gods. Each one typically only had one god. It was of the family, and the god only had one family they were, patron of. And the chronological order is hard to grasp for me, so I'll just tell you the various scenes. There's a scene where I was walking down the street with somebody. No, okay, actually, I don't know if it's part of the same dream or a different one, but actually, I remember there was this weird scene where me and this person, I don't know if they're who they were at this school, something, I don't know. We had dropped off this child who we pretended was our child. They were in on it, right? It was like my sibling or whatever, or one of our siblings, or maybe a cousin, but we right, I forgot about that part. Okay, so I was like, I don't know why, I was Anakin Skywalker at some point, or either that or I was myself, and there was a young Anakin Skywalker or something like that. I don't know, but I remember there was a part where we were at the school and Obi-Wan was there, and I think I was Anakin. It was from the point of view of Anakin Skywalker when he had his black Jedi clothes on and everything, and there was this smaller version of Anakin Skywalker for some weird reason, with the same clothes, but he was actually a child. I guess he just wanted him to dress up. I guess Anakin wanted the younger version to dress up like him or something. I don't know. Or maybe the other way around. The younger one wanted to dress up like the older one. I don't know. But Obi-Wan and Anakin wanted to drop him off out of school. And the Anakin was very nervous, right? I guess he was a lot more reserved than his actual self when he was younger. It's possible maybe the young Anakin Skywalker had memories and was more anxious, had more anxiety than he originally did when he was that age. I remember from his point of view, Anakin, the older Anakin's point of view, I watched the younger Anakin, he didn't want to go, and he was nervous and what have you, and I gave him a hug. I don't know why. I gave him a hug and told him it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to have feelings, and it's best to simply. I don't know how I worded it, but something. It's face your fears, or whatever, and what have you. Basically, I was doing for the young Anakin as the older Anakin, something that wasn't done for the older Anakin. That it's okay to be afraid, and it's best to face your fears, instead of, in a healthy way, in a healthier way. I remember after giving him a hug and saying that, I let him go to the school, and I looked to Obi-Wan to my left, and for some reason I don't know what face he gave me. He gave me a conflicted face, you know. Probably a combination of like self-doubt and just confliction, right? The guilt almost. I guess because Obi-Wan realized right then and there that he wasn't a good enough teacher for the actual current Anakin. It put things in perspective. It made him self-reflect, and he realized, oh man, I did not do a good enough job raising Anakin, did I? Kind of thing, and then it moved scenes. I remember it was me and this like young woman. I think we were actually both like we were both like 20s, like in college or whatever, and I guess she was my friend, and the Anakin that was there, right? It swapped scenes. I swapped like realities where he was actually like my sibling or whatever, or your cousin or whatever, and they were there to distract the school, the class. It was a small daycare, right? Distract the daycare and the teacher, so we could climb in through the window. For some reason, I don't know why, but we did, and we climbed through the window of one of the rooms, for some reason, and we brought in some dogs to play. They're nice dogs. They're good dogs. They're big dogs, but they were nice dogs. They weren't going to hurt anybody. In fact, they wanted to play, and we brought them inside somehow through the open window, and they were tearing up everything. I was like, oh shit. Remember, I got inside somehow. I needed to grab something. There's like a sword, like a katana inside there. I needed to grab for some reason. Maybe that was the real reason why we were there. I don't know, but like it was important. It wasn't like it was. It didn't belong. It did not belong to the daycare. It didn't belong to the teacher. It was there, like a relic or whatever that we had to collect. That we were going around collecting or something. There's various relics throughout the city that were like lost or like cursed, or not cursed, but something happened and we had to collect them all, right? And so I collected the katana. I had to climb in and then grab it. And I originally wasn't supposed to go inside, but I got inside and then got stuck because all the fluff and the filling of the really floofy blankets that the dogs had ripped up in their fun was everywhere, and it was getting hard to move around. And I was like, I have to hurry and grab this and get out. And eventually, I squirmed my way to the katana, squirmed my way out the window, and then got out. And the dogs by then had already like run out the door to where the main kids were, out in the like yard, whatever. And we figured that the teacher would eventually come and investigate where they came from, and saw that they came from the room. And so I got out finally, and eventually the teacher probably came into the room. I don't know. I didn't get that far. The two of us ran basically. I guess we figured. We told the teacher that we'd be back later, that we're busy, and just to keep an eye on them. And the teacher was fine with that. And so we were busy, ransacking the room, and then we left. The two of us were then walking down the street, and the woman, she had the katana, I think, and she showed me how it works, and it was basically like, it was a wind katana. It was like the katana from League of Legends, Yasuo or Yone's katanas, right? One of the two, or it's a similar type. It wasn't theirs, but it's like the same thing, you can cause wind with it. And they went inside of a store, right? A small store front, with a big window. And I was standing outside. They were gonna like, cut the these like random like objects there to generate the wind. And I'm like, don't do that. The guy is right behind you, standing right there. I was like, oh yeah, sorry. And the guy is like, yeah, please don't. And so she did something different. She went to a light switch. For some reason that was off. And she's like, okay, watch this. I can do it this way. 1, 2, 3. And she turned it on while her hand was still attached to the light switch. And energy went through her and into the katana, like instantaneously, really quickly. And you could see the wind little like aura around it generating, right? And she explains to me it's all about energy, like friction, right? That's how you activate the ability, right? But then it like started to go away after a little bit. So it was there and then lingered for a bit and then started to dissipate a little bit. And so she explained to me, yeah, it's all about friction. That's all it is. It's like, oh, neat. And we left the store, and then well, she left the store. I was outside. She was inside, but she left it, and we were walking down the street, or actually, I told her, I gotta go for a minute, I have to use the restroom. It's like, oh, okay. And I was gonna go across the streets, and I was gonna, as silly as it is, I was gonna jaywalk and like run across the street, but the cars were going by very fast for some reason. It was very scary, actually. So I went to go to the crosswalk, and everything was blurry, not blurry, everything was hard to look at for some reason. It was very bright. I remember I had forgot my sunglasses or something, or whatever, and like I realized, oh, maybe I should go back to the school to go pick up my sunglasses. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. And eventually the crosswalk turned on, and I was very nervous for some reason, like very like, scared to get run over. And so I looked left and looked right and looked left, and the cars were mostly stopped, but the right side, the oncoming traffic, is pretty empty on that side. And I saw this car going very fast. They were not slowing down. So I stopped before I got to the other side of the street. I was halfway across the street, of the crosswalk, and they zoomed past. They ran a red light. I'm like, fun. And there's no other cars behind them. The other cars behind them were like going very slow. Their basic speed, they're pretty far. And so I walked the rest of the way, and I assume I went to the restroom. I don't know. The dream shifted after that into a different dream. This other dream was... They might all be the same dream. I don't know. But this other dream was interesting. So this is where the gods and the patrons, the patron gods happens, right? I don't remember the sequence of the events, but there's a story going on in the dream that's being recounted about this young girl who was a child among this family who had a patron god. And they have these blessings that sometimes, break a little bit. And these blessings that sometimes break so much, sometimes, that you can make a second wish. So normally, the way this works is the family, their ancestor had made a wish to the patron god. And in turn, the patron god is their patron, right? And it's important because the world is like this winter-kissed, like, dangerous place. It's like, in order to keep the world going, there were people who had to make wishes to gods to keep certain areas full of life, like heat and what have you, because otherwise, it was an ice age. The planet was freezing over, I guess, one day, like centuries ago, or whatever. So a lot of families have these patron gods. A lot of them do, and they're the primary source of survival in the planet, because there's also these monsters that appeared. Or whatever. I don't know. I didn't see any monsters. I didn't get that far in the dream. There was never any monsters in the dream, but I get the feeling that it was important. All I knew was that something about winter-kissed, right? This winter-kissed world, or whatever. And this young girl, I guess the blessing she had been born with had broken so badly, she made a second wish without realizing it. She did it and didn't know what it meant, right? But maybe like a couple weeks or months or a year later, while she's being taught more stuff, because she's being taught since she was young, and since she could read and write and understand, but she wasn't taught everything. But eventually she was taught about blessings and how sometimes they break really badly. Them breaking isn't uncommon. They'll change a little bit and they'll be a little bit weird. And sometimes they get more powerful, sometimes they get weaker. It's not a big deal. As long as you have a patron god and you're so loyal to them, even if your blessing is super weak, the patron will still protect you, the basic protection. You just have to have more children to have who can have better blessings, you know. So there would be generations of the family being particularly weak, but there's other families around them who can pick up the slack, kind of scenario, you know. I remember when the little girl heard this story, she got nervous. She didn't say anything to her mom, but she got nervous. She's like, oh no, because the mother explained to the little girl that sometimes blessings break, and sometimes they break really bad. And then when they break really bad by some miracle, you know what I mean? Miracle, because God's. Anyways, when they break really badly, the person whose blessing breaks really badly, they can make another wish. But the problem is, the consequences of that are really dire, because the family already has, like, servitude to the patron god. And if you make another wish when you already have basically given them everything you have in the way of service, you know, worship, you know, then what else is there to offer, you know? And so at that point, it gets really bad, because that part of the dream was kind of a flashback, sort of, because I remember it kind of like jumped ahead, and I remember there was this uncle, I think in the dream with the katana, the katana and what have you, and the kids, it was me and that girl. I was the boy in this scenario, and I say the boy, but rather it was more like a third person point of view, like I was watching a movie and it kept going back first person, but like I realized I was the boy, right? And so the relic we were getting was a god relic for some reason. Anyways, in the flashback sequence, or whatever, it shows the mom talking to the girl and the warning, and it's to not make a wish when your blessing breaks that badly, to not make a wish at all, and talk to the family head to help fix it and take care of it, right? Because you don't want to make a wish when you have your blessing broken like that. And when I say it's broken, I don't mean like it becomes unusable. It just like fractures in some way and like changes, right? And the blessings are usually on the body somewhere in the form of like tattoos or like images. And in this case, the girl's blessing was on her hand, her right hand, and the back of her hand, and a little bit up on her wrist, and it broke, right? But her mom didn't know this. And usually when you make a wish, it'll fix the blessing. Not even that. Sometimes it won't fix it. But I guess either the girl either wished something innocent, like please fix the blessing because I'm scared I'll get in trouble with my mom, or she made some other wish. But the point is, the mom didn't notice that the blessing was broken. Or maybe she did, and maybe she didn't say anything. I don't know. But there was this overarching issue going on. So the reason why this was a flashback is because the mom, turns out, she was going to sacrifice her daughter to the god because of this, right? I don't know if it's because the mom was told to by the god, or if she thought it was the right thing to do, right? Maybe she's going crazy. I don't know. Shifting to another scene, there was this scene of back to the flashback of the girl finding out, oh, you don't want to make wishes to patrons, right? Oh no, right? And so she didn't tell her mom. There's kind of like a narrator going on too. This is like from like a third person point of view, a narrator talking about this, right? Recounting how this little girl made a mistake. And then it shifted scenes to where the little girl was at school, and her friend was like, "Why Titans? What are you talking about?" And it turns out the little girl asked her friend, "What if it was Titans? Like if you married a Titan, whatever." And she's like, "What are you talking about? Titans don't exist, whatever." She's like, "Oh, all right then," and then moved on from that. Right there, she was nervous. That the little girl was nervous, right? And then it turns out that the Titan she was talking about, there was this family that her mom wanted to introduce her to. That family were also a family of who had a patron god, but their family name was Titans, right? There was Titan rather. So the girl mistakenly believed that she was to go meet some Titans, and she wanted to maybe marry one so they could defeat her patron god, so she wouldn't have to be in trouble with the second wish she made, right? Because she had read like a fairy book story about Titans defeating gods or whatever, or whatever, or maybe the other way around, gods defeating Titans. I don't know. And then when she got there, she realized, oh, they're human. And the mother was like, okay, this is so-and-so Titan, right? And he has a son, and I want you to be friends with his son. And then she realized, oh, it's because the family name is Titan, right? So she realized what it was. So she's like 8 years old, by the way, at this point, 7 or 8 years old. And so she meets the boy who's also 7 or 8 years old. And the thing is that all these patron deity families they tend to be very rich, usually. And so the mom with the daughter goes to the Titan family, and the girl, she meets the boy. He's in the upstairs, like second or third floor, and she meets them, a little nervous, little like, oh hi, and like kind of things like that. And it's from a third point of view. It was a first point of view when they introduced each other, and if you kept moving back and forth between the two of them, so it's like I was watching a movie, But at some points, the two of them were talking with each other, playing with each other for a little bit for a while, and eventually the boy was like leaning over the open window, on the windowsill, looking out, just gazing out, and she appeared next to him, really close, and it surprised him. He didn't hear her coming, but he heard something and turned right to look at her and saw that she was really close. Jumped, got spooked a little out of embarrassment and shyness, but also just surprise, and fell out the window. He was fine. There was this awning, because it was right where his room was right where above the front door, and there was a little awning, a little, what do you call it, like a little roof. And he was fine. He fell on top of that. It was fine, but she freaked out and climbed out to see if he was okay. He was okay, but he had to get up, and then, he was nervous about her being out there and also being near him, because he was like, oh no, a pretty girl, you know what I mean? Maybe they're 10 years old, I don't know. But like, he dropped a letter out there and she grabbed it, and he was like, please, no, give me that. He was very embarrassed. I wonder if maybe it was a letter for her that he made that when she wasn't looking, perhaps. I don't know. But like, he goes to grab it, and they both like trip a little bit, like slip, because it's a little slippery, but not too slippery. And then, they don't fall, thankfully. The girl like spins and catches her balance by grabbing the wall behind her. And he's like trying to not fall as well. He's in a little like waving the hands in a circular motion, to try to stay balanced. It's gonna sound weird. Bear with me, okay? It's a plot point, but he's right behind her, and he accidentally grabs her from behind to keep balance, in a very awkward, like, not a good pose, basically, because she has her hands against the wall and he's behind her. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to spell it out too much more, but turns out that the uncle of the Titan family, right? The boy's uncle, his father's brother, was there. He lives with them. Most of the family tends to live together. He's very chill. The uncle is very chill. But he saw that happen. It's like he was drinking something, and his window is shut. And when he sees that happen, and like spits all over his window by accident, like, and just like, but But he sees this happen, and he finds it silly, awkward, and kind of, funny. And he, for some reason, the uncle's like, yeah, these two are gonna get together. I'm sure of it. But like, he obviously saw most of the scene, right? He figured the boy would be fine. He's gonna help him if he has to. He has patron. They're all people with patron deities. They have powers. The uncle would have saved him easily if the boy actually fell off the awning. Plus, it's only the first floor. These god people are actually surprisingly durable. So he would have been fine even if he fell from the first floor, the second floor rather. But it was from the point of view of the uncle, like right behind the uncle. The camera had zoomed out to the uncle. Rather, when the boy had grabbed the girl, her waist, right? The camera had like turned towards the window that the uncle was looking out from, and you could see his face, his shocked face. It was very funny. And then it went from behind him over his shoulder to his left, and then he spit his drink, right? It was like water or whatever. I don't know what it was. But then he amused himself, like, these two are going to be a thing. I'm sure of it. This is going to be a riot to watch. And he was very chill, but, like, also, like, very silly, and, like, also kind of, like it was like, he kind of acted like, a viewer, like a reader watching a funny romantic comedy unfolding, and he always got a kick out of it, watching these two like being awkward around each other and like making mistakes and stuff. But he would be supportive, and he would just watch with like keen interest and be like, he was like rooting for them silently. Of course, they wouldn't know this. He figured that they'd be too embarrassed to know that they're being watched. He wouldn't intentionally go find them, but he would like occasionally find them like talking with each other, being happy, occasionally being in awkward situations, and things like that. Like, for instance, them falling on each other. He would, like, just, like, be walking and hear a thump in the house or whatever, and, like, he'd, like, turn a corner and see them on the floor, and, like, he would hide, so they wouldn't get embarrassed. He'd be very quiet about it, and he'd just get a kick out of it, Anyways, so the reason this is happening, right, is because flashback forward, the girl is being killed by the boy. Turns out the mom had told the boy that because her daughter had made a wish to the patron deity, she has to be sacrificed. However, because of this, if he kills her instead, the mom can turn back time. Either because the patron deity wants the girl sacrificed, or because the mom has that power. I don't know. So it becomes a plot point where like the boy, they're both like in their 18, 20, maybe 17. I don't know. The boy keeps killing her over and over again, and is distraught over it. And like the mom only turns back time so much, but he tries to enjoy the time he has with her until he has to kill her before she gets sacrificed. And it's just, it's fucking them both up really bad because they don't always have the memories of it happening. Like the boy will like remember last second and realize I had to do it again. And then he does it, and the girl remembers as well. But the mom is like kind of fucked up at this point. I don't know what's wrong with her. I think she's corrupted or something, or she's like very like, she's just crazy for instance. Maybe she was always crazy. But at some point eventually, the uncle figures this out. I don't know how he figures it out, because most people don't remember everything when time goes back. But either the uncle, after several resets, he starts to remember little by little, or he witnesses it one time. He witnesses the boy kill the girl at one time, and asks, "What the fuck are you doing?" And the boy explains with tears about, he's like, "If I don't kill her, her mom will, and she'll be gone forever." And from that alone, the uncle was like, sacrifice. Oh, fuck. And then realized what was going on. And from then on, I think he used his patron deity's power to make sure he remembers. And so the next reset, he remembers. And before the boy and the girl remember, before the time happens, he does something. And eventually he like kills the mom. He kills the girl's mom. And in front of like, it was during a family gathering or whatever, or maybe not a family gathering. The boy's dad was there, the uncle's brother was there. The girl was there. The boy was there. The girl's mom was there. The boy and girl walked in on the uncle. The three of them, right? The uncle, the father, his son, and the daughter and the girl. They come in from like whatever, and they witness the uncle killing the mom, right? And after doing the father would put himself between the kids and him. This was really young, like really, really young. The mom had turned back time so much where the kids were kids again. And the uncle, after killing the mom, just like stood up and looked towards his brother, and you can see like corruption flowing through his body. It turns out the mom had been corrupted. That's why she was doing that. I don't know if her patron god corrupted her, or if they even wanted her to sacrifice her daughter. Maybe not. Who knows? But the father explained to his brother what's going on, right? And explained, you have to kill me. Next time, you have to kill me after I kill her. And then the uncle turns back time. I wonder if maybe it wasn't actually when they were kids. It's weird what's going on. Like, the whole sequence of events is, like, all over the place. But, like, maybe the kids were adults. Maybe they're, like, 15 or something like that. Maybe it was a couple years. Maybe it wasn't, like, when they were young. It was a couple years. But the mom was definitely crazy at some point. And I think she was in a wheelchair. As well, because at some point she couldn't walk properly. She could walk, but like it was hard to walk, so she was always in a wheelchair. She was getting old. She was getting very old, and I think her ability was time, and that was affecting her tremendously. It was making her age really quickly, because she would turn back time, but she couldn't turn back her own time. She would turn back everyone else's time, including the world's time and the universe's time, but her time would not turn back. So she would be getting older and older and older normally, where everyone would not. So the more years she turns back, eventually she would age the many years when she'd be like 20 years, she'd be like 30 or 40 years old, right? She would turn back time 3 years. And then when time goes back to where she initially turned back time, 3 years go by, she ages 3 years in those 3 years. And then she's 43 when she should be 40. And then does it again, and then she's 46 when she should be 40. So she's getting older and older. And so by the time the uncle realizes what's going on, she's in a wheelchair. So she's been doing this for a long time. It wasn't just 3 years. It could have been 5 years. It could have been 10 years. I don't know how many years it was. Not the point. The point is, the uncle figures this out, right? And in an attempt to protect the kids, he kills the mom during the most recent rewind, because he used his power to remember this time, to actually remember what was happening. And so, however many years she turned back time, he remembers, and he kills her. Either right then and there, or he waits. Maybe he bides his time and waits the last second to kill her. I'm not sure, to like really see what's going on, to get yeah. I think that's what happened. So he remembers everything, but she doesn't know he remembers. And the uncle uses his time to keep an eye on the mother instead of the kids, and to see how she acts, and notices that she seems really old all of a sudden, and she's in a wheelchair, and she's gray hairs, even though she's like only 35, 40 years old, something like that, not even that old. And he realizes that she's been doing this for a very long time, and he eventually notices at some point random like hints of corruption here and there, and he realizes that she's corrupted, and that's why she's doing this. So at some point he kills her, and the brother walks in on him. I don't even know if the kids walked in on him anymore. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But the brother walks in on the uncle, right? The uncle explains to his brother, the father of the Titan, the patriarch of the family, right? That she was corrupted, and she's been turning back time and torturing these poor kids. We have to protect them. And so, the uncle, he kills the mom and then turns back time. But he makes sure that the brother has time to activate his power so he can remember as well. Because normally I think the way it works is that if you know time is going to turn back, so long as you have a patron deity, you can ask them, basically use their power to make sure you can remember. But if you don't do that, you don't know time is turning back, then you'll just forget, right? And that's happening over the entire world. No one knows time is being turned back. And so, unless, except maybe a family, I don't know. We can play around with that idea later on. Maybe there's a specific family about time. Who knows? But point is, pretty much anybody can turn back time, but you don't want to. And there's a specific consequences for this. And so the mom was, experiencing those consequences. So the uncle kills the mom, turns back time. The brother, the father, sees this, remembers it. And so now there's 3 people who remembers what's going on, right? The mom and the uncle and the father. I think. But the dream ended, right? The dream ended when it was a future sequence where the uncle kills the mom again. And this time, the brother is prepared, and the father is prepared, and he kills his uncle. He has to. He doesn't have a choice. But he's prepared so that way, if the father, he himself cannot survive being corrupted afterwards. Because whoever kills the one corrupted, they get corrupted themselves. It jumps to them, right? The father made it so that way, if he kills the one who's corrupted, his uncle, or his brother rather, the uncle, and he can't survive, he can't resist the corruption, then he has a failsafe. He basically activated a blessing on himself, where he will, end himself, if he gets corrupted and he can't resist it. So that, because when you're corrupted, you can't resist it, and you're fully corrupted, you can't resist it. You can only do one of 2 things. One, activate the ability that's nascent inside of it, in this case, time, uncontrollably, and, however much time the previous person wanted to turn back time. Or 2, succumb to it and do its bidding. And the uncle didn't want to succumb to it, so he just turned back time. He didn't have a choice, but was able to talk a little bit before his brother, to his brother, to make sure his brother, activated his blessing and can remember, yada, 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 moving on. And then fast forward to a final scene where the uncle kills the mom again, and then the father, the uncle's brother, kills the uncle. And the father, he can't resist the corruption either. And so his failsafe activates, his trap he put inside of his body activates, and he kills himself, right? Instead of forcing the children to kill him. But unfortunately, both children witness this. And from this traumatic event, they both remember everything. And before the father died, he explains to both of them that he loves them both, and he will protect them no matter what, even if he must protect them from himself. And he explains to them briefly before he dies that whenever someone kills someone else who's corrupted, that corruption jumps to them. There is no exceptions. To protect you two, both your uncle and I will have done what we have to. We've had to, right? And so he has to kill himself in front of the 2 of them. And this traumatic event, either that or maybe the father casts a blessing to make sure they remember everything. Who knows? I don't know. Both of them, whatever age they are with the time going backwards, remember everything and realize what's going on. And it's traumatic because the boy has to remember the fact he had to kill her multiple times and witness his father kill himself and also kill his uncle. And the girl has to remember the fact that she was killed multiple times and that she witnessed the uncle kill her mother, and also her friend/boyfriend's father kill the uncle, because they all love each other. All 5 of them cared for each other. But also, she has to remember it's all her fault, because she made a wish when she was young to the deity when her blessing broke. So that's traumatic. I don't know how it resolves, but I think the idea is that the 2 of them grow up as the heirs to their respective families, and in the future, I guess they get married, but like the daughter, she has to come to terms with everything. It's I don't know how it comes to terms. The dream ended there when the father died. So I would like to think that maybe they go through some trials and tribulations, and eventually the girl comes to terms with things and moves on, hopefully, as does the boy, because the boy doesn't have to kill her anymore. and neither does the girl have to worry about anything. I don't know if she gets abandoned by her patron deity, or if the patron deity asks her for something. I don't know. That's for a future time. Point is, that's the dream. It was really interesting. I had to remember everything. I didn't remember everything correctly. I did slightly make up some things because I couldn't remember it correctly. I had to fill in the voids and the gaps. So hopefully you enjoyed that nonsense. I thought it was very interesting. And I got some good sleep last night. I went to bed at 6 o'clock, woke up at 3, basically, 2:55, and got good, 9 hours of sleep. I feel good. Well, sort of. 8 hours of sleep, roughly. So, I'm gonna get up. I want to stream, but I have to get stuff done today. I need to edit the videos. I need to rest. I might still stream. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And if I do, maybe I'll see you later today. Otherwise, I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Talk to you later. Bye.